Welcome to Audiobook 365 Stories.
Jug, Secret Helper in the office of Harvey Maxwell, Moneyman, showed a little surprise on his usually serious face when his boss quickly came in at 9:30 with his young lady helper. With a quick, "Good morning, Jug," Maxwell hurried to his desk as if he wanted to jump over it, and then started working on the big pile of letters and messages waiting for him. The young lady had worked with Maxwell for a year. She was pretty in a way that didn't fit a typical office look. She didn't have fancy hairstyles. She didn't wear chains, bracelets, or lockets. She didn't act like she was ready for a lunch invitation. Her dress was simple and gray, but it fit her body well. On her neat black hat was the green and gold wing of a parrot. On this morning, she looked softly and shyly happy. Her eyes were bright, her cheeks a natural pink, and her expression was joyful with memories. Jug, still a little curious, saw a change in her behavior this morning. Instead of going straight to the next room where her desk was, she hesitated in the outer office. At one point, she moved closer to Maxwell's desk, close enough for him to notice her. The person sitting at that desk was no longer just a man. He was a busy New York money man, moved by buzzing wheels and springs unwinding. "Well, what is it? Anything?" asked Maxwell quickly. His open mail looked like a pile of fake snow on his crowded desk. His sharp gray eyes, impersonal and brisk, looked at her a little impatiently. "Nothing," replied the helper, moving away with a small smile. "Mr. Jug," she said to the secret helper, "did Mr. Maxwell say anything yesterday about hiring another helper?" "He did," answered Jug. "He told me to get another one. I told the agency yesterday afternoon to send over a few examples this morning. It's 9:45, and not a single fancy hat or piece of pineapple chewing gum has shown up yet. I will do the work as usual then," said the young lady, "until someone comes to fill the place." And she went to her desk right away and hung the black hat with the parrot wing in its usual spot. Anyone who hasn't seen a busy New York money man during a rush of work is not well prepared for the study of anthropology. The poet talks about the crowded hour of glorious life. The money man's hour is not only crowded, but the minutes and seconds are holding on to all the handles and filling both front and back areas. And this was the day when Harvey Maxwell was very busy. The machine started spitting out small rolls of paper, and the phone on the desk couldn't stop buzzing. People crowded into the office, shouting at him over the railing, happily, sharply, angrily, excitedly. Delivery boys ran in and out with messages and telegrams. The workers in the office moved around like sailors in a storm. Even Jug's face showed some signs of animation. On the stock market, there were big changes and chaos, like hurricanes, landslides, snowstorms, glaciers, and volcanoes, and these disturbances were happening in the brokers' offices too. Maxwell pushed his chair against the wall and did business like a skilled dancer. He moved from the machine to the phone, from the desk to the door with the practiced agility of a performer. In the middle of all this chaos, the broker suddenly noticed a fancy fringe of golden hair under a swaying canopy of velvet and ostrich feathers. The person wearing these accessories was a confident young lady, and Jug was there to explain. "Lady from the stenographer's agency to see about the position," said Jug. Maxwell turned halfway around, holding papers and ticker tape in his hands. "What position?" he asked, with a frown. "Position of stenographer," said Jug. "You told me yesterday to call them up and have one sent over this morning." "You must be mistaken, Jug," said Maxwell. "Why would I have given you any such instructions? Miss Leslie has been doing a great job during the year she has been here. The job is hers as long as she wants it. There's no opening here, ma'am. Cancel that order with the agency, Jug, and don't bring any more of them in here." The silver heart left the office, swinging and banging itself against the furniture as it left in a huff. Jug took a moment to tell the bookkeeper that the boss seemed to be getting more forgetful every day. The rush and speed of work became even more intense. On the trading floor, they were dealing with several stocks that Maxwell's clients had invested heavily in. Buy and sell orders were moving as fast as swallows in flight. Some of his own investments were in danger, and he worked like a finely tuned, delicate, strong machine, running at full speed, precise, never hesitating. The right words, decisions, and actions were ready and prompt like clockwork. Stocks, bonds, loans, mortgages, margins, and securities. This was the world of finance, and there was no space in it for the human world or the world of nature. As the lunchtime approached, there was a slight pause in the noise. Maxwell stood by his desk with telegrams and notes in his hands, a pen over his ear, and his hair disheveled. His window was open, welcoming the warmth of the emerging spring. Through the window came a drifting, perhaps a lost, scent, a delicate, sweet smell of lilac that momentarily stopped the broker in his tracks. This fragrance belonged to Miss Leslie. It was hers and hers alone. The scent brought her vividly, almost tangibly, before him. The world of finance suddenly shrank to a tiny speck, and she was in the next room, just 20 steps away. "By George, I'll do it now," said Maxwell half aloud. "I'll ask her now. I wonder why I didn't do it long ago." He rushed into the inner office with the speed of someone trying to cover a short distance quickly. He approached the stenographer's desk. She looked up at him with a smile. A gentle pink spread across her cheek, and her eyes were warm and sincere. Maxwell leaned one elbow on her desk. He still held fluttering papers with both hands, and the pen was above his ear. "Miss Leslie," he started quickly, "I only have a moment. I want to say something in that moment. Will you be my wife? I haven't had time to express my love in the usual way, but I truly love you. Please talk quickly. Those guys are causing trouble with Union Pacific." "Oh, what are you talking about?" exclaimed the young lady. She stood up and looked at him with wide eyes. "Don't you understand?" said Maxwell impatiently. "I want you to marry me. I love you, Miss Leslie. I wanted to tell you, and I grabbed a minute when things slowed down a bit. They're calling me for the phone now. Tell them to wait a minute, pitcher. Won't you, Miss Leslie?" The stenographer reacted strangely. At first, she seemed overwhelmed with surprise. Then tears welled up in her eyes, and then she smiled warmly through them, and one of her arms gently slid around the broker's neck. "I understand now," she said softly. "It's this old business that has pushed everything else out of your head for the moment. I was scared at first. Don't you remember, Harvey? We got married last evening at 8 o'clock in the little church around the corner.